Okay, we're starting at the southeast corner of the house and we're working around counterclockwise. We got a little bit of separation here between the vertical wall casement and the brickwork. And we're moving on along, and our pergola posts are spaced farther apart than 8 feet. Let me get that right down there. Separation vertical trim board, southeast corner. Pergola posts are closer to the ground. Stands have not been installed, or they've been installed directly into the ground. Okay, and our pergola posts are spaced farther apart than 8 feet. Now the pergola posts were fastened with 2 bolts. Alright, it's nice that they put bolts up there, but 2 bolts is like a seesaw or a hinge. You're supposed to use 3 fasteners. These 2 fasteners here too. 2 fasteners can pivot. 3 fasteners prevent the pivoting from happening, or help prevent it. Okay? Also, you're not supposed to use screws as fasteners. We bolted these top ones, okay, but everything else has been done with fasteners. We've got connectors, but from what I can see coming along here, see these connectors? They were installed with screws. They should have been installed with nails. Alright? Those are even slotted connectors. Those slotted connectors, they don't have definite holes in them. They allow movement. Nails have much more shear strength than screws. Well, let's just see how this thing operates for a moment. You know? This is called checking. That's natural. I tell you what, I'm leaning into it and it's really not moving. It's not proving my point. That doesn't mean that it's right. I don't usually talk about checking much. It's a natural, believe it or not, checking does not affect the strength, the vertical load path. Okay, it's an aesthetic issue. At some point, somebody decides whether this piece of lumber, the stick, comes out of the lumber yard and goes into the truck and goes and gets used, or it just sits in the lumber yard like an orphan. I get my knife all the way in there like that. That's some pretty good sized checking, I gotta tell you. That's what I'm here to tell you about. We're coming along here on the siding. We got plenty of things to talk about. When you have fenestrations, that's French for hole in your wall. You got fenestrations, your windows coming through. This one's, you're supposed to have Z-bar flashing. Z-bar flashing. The exterior light fixtures are supposed to be sealed to help moisture from coming in them. So we got some damaged wall board here underneath the kitchen wall. Apparently there was some dishwasher issues. So we got some damaged wall board right in there. Moving on along. We're going to talk about this in the future. But this is the water heater safety pan discharge. And this is the water heater temperature pressure relief valve discharge. And that particular valve is not supposed to discharge farther from the patio, farther from the ground than 6 inches. So that's too high. And then right here, you see these little holes? These holes are called drill holes. There's only one reason in the patio. There's only one reason for these holes to be here. They were drilled in order to apply product. They weren't for any structural reasons or anything else. They were drilled to apply product. And what the product is for, the animal that they're trying to deal with, is called subterranean termites. And that's the only reason you would put those holes in there. So we do know that this house has been treated at least once for subterranean termites. This is a drill hole. We don't know who treated it, we don't know what they treated it with, and we do not know when they treated it. And then we got rotten casement board at the base near the porch in the northwest corner of the porch. Okay. Now these electric receptacle outlets, they should have in-use covers, bubble covers if you will, like little helmets, so that when you plug things in, alright, when you plug things in, then you close the bubble cover in, and you can leave things like these novelty lights, and they can stay on, and the rain doesn't affect them. So at one time, these little weather covers like this were acceptable, but when there's water out here, no, it's not acceptable. Coming along here, these paving stones, they're nice. I got a bunch of them at home, but they're not dimensionally uniform. While they're okay, you know, for your kids and you young folks, but you get some geriatric people like myself, this isn't quite so stable. So when grandmother comes to visit, you need to, you know, hold her by her elbow and help her out, help Granny out. Here's the exterior bib faucet. I'm glad that I saw this, because you see this right here? This is called a vacuum breaker. Alright? Is it? This is called a vacuum breaker. Moving along. When you see the air supply registers, you can see the peeling paint on them like that. Alright? And like this one over here. Just kind of go over here because that's the garage. This is a little different. This one's for the house. You see peeling paint on these guys, that's a clue. Okay, that's a symptom that the attic is not properly ventilated. In fact, as I'm looking up here, okay, this one I want to know. Fences, like plumbing, are conducive to wood-destroying insects by design. By design. Nobody's going to move their fence. Everybody wants a fence. Everybody wants a kitchen sink. Everybody wants a bathroom. Conducive by design. Fences, this is not a WDI report, and even if it was, all I would care about is 6 feet from the house. This isn't a WDI report. I don't care about the fence at all. I mean, I care, but it's beyond the scope of this inspection. We're going to move along here a little bit. Got a little bit of separation between our vertical casement here and then our horizontal casement and the freeze board. If you'll notice, there's some separation on this end, and then we do no longer have separation, and it picks back up on that end. Okay, so it's bowing here. You know, the whole span, it's only bowing by about 1/4 of an inch, but it's bowing here. And this lintel, okay, that lintel changes the drainage plane. Around the house, we have these things called weep holes around the perimeter. I'll show you one where I get some space. We have some weep holes. But this lintel interrupts the drainage plane. And anytime you have a lintel, it's over windows and doors, this is a door, then you should have weep holes up here for this section of the drainage plane. And then you got a little horizontal crack between the brick and mortar right there. So this lintel is supposed to extend a minimum of 6 inches past. If it extended 6 inches past, it might not have bowed as much as it has. Just wondering, just thinking. I'm a thinker. Moving on along. We're coming over here. See the separation again? See the short lintel? See the crack between the brick and mortar, the horizontal crack right there? Now these cracks are called shrinkage cracks. Some people call them corner pops. Call it what you will. But if they're in the span of a hand, I don't know whose, they go back this direction, they do not affect the foundation. The jury's out on the foundation. The jury's out. And we got a little rusty nail coming over here from one of our post-tension cables. Exposed post-tension cable end on north side of garage car entry. But these cracks, these shrinkage cracks, what happens for whatever reason, the concrete expands and contracts at different rates than the brickwork. Reasons. You'll never be able to measure this, but the slab is continuously shrinking. You won't be able to measure it. The brick is continuously growing, and they expand and contract because it's drying. They expand and contract, at different rates because they're different products. The pressure comes out at the corner, and these corner pops, shrinkage cracks. Okay, termites can crawl up inside of those and enter your home. That's actually considered a conducive condition. And if that corner comes out, that corner is actually holding up your veneer, your brick siding. So that might be a brick issue, it might be a termite issue, but that in and of itself alone, that's not a foundation issue. We're moving on along here, and there's really no place for this, so we got a little bit of erosion over here on the north side of the garage. This is some gas piping entering the house. So the house has been piped for gas, but we do not have a gas meter. So this is an all-electric home. Moving on along. We'll talk about that later. Moving on along. This is a good example. Right here is one. We do not have Z-bar flashing. But these butt-in joints, they should have been installed with flashing tape behind them. They weren't. I have flashing tape installed behind them. Our ceiling is shrinking around our air conditioner refrigerant. Piping, you think water, wind-blown rain, can get in that hole there? I do. That's what I think. These are called weep holes. Alright, we have them around the foundation perimeter. We want those. We're supposed to have them. Okay, brick is a very good product. This home could burn down. Oh, there's the water right there coming out of your air conditioning unit. Look at that. We've got an AC problem. Water's coming out of the secondary drain line, making a big old dead spot in the yard. How about that? All the rust is killing the grass. That's called a clue. You've got an air conditioning problem. So brick is a very good product. This home could burn down and you can still use the brick. You can rebuild. It's a good insulator. Sound. And okay. We've got some rotten vertical casement board around the wall sewer clean out on the north wall. Sure do. But the characteristic about brick, it's a good temperature and sound insulator, but the characteristic about brick is it's porous. It's porous. So when it rains, water actually gets behind the wall and it drains down, and by the time it gets down to here, you're not going to see anything. It's just going to be water vapor. And that's by design. That's the design of the architecture from around here. Now if you have an event, there's probably a bathroom here. If you have an event, water will come out of there. I've seen a couple of events. I hope you don't. The water will come out of there. But mostly it's just vapor. And these little holes, they're there by design. And our butt joints do not have tape underneath them. And our air conditioner secondary drain line is leaking. And we'll talk about that just a little bit more in another video when we talk about that. Except that I wish I would have caught that when I was talking about that. Now across here, you might notice this kind of looks like a cake frosting. That's called a parge coat. A parge coat, that's what it's called. And it's decorative. Just because this is cracked, it doesn't mean that your foundation is cracked. And just because it's not cracked doesn't mean your foundation isn't cracked. It's a parge coat, which creates a void, by the way, that termites can use to enter the home undetected. But there's nothing that's, it's an aesthetic issue. It's fine. Trees should not be closer than 25 feet to the structure. Should not be that close to the structure. because the root growth sucks the moisture out from your foundation. The branches wreck your house. So that's why. I get it. It's a little crepe myrtle. They're so pretty. I get it. They're decorative. I get it. Okay? Shouldn't be there. These pine trees, man, you don't see those around in this area too much. Nobody's going to want to take these guys down. Shouldn't be closer than 25 feet to the house. Where do termites live? In the ground. What do they eat? Dead wood. What's wood mulch? Dead wood on the ground next to your house. It's called a clue. That's called a clue. I get it, it's pretty, just like this is pretty, touching the house. When it actually does touch the house, okay, that's conducive to wood destroying insects. One, termites are blind, so they like shady areas to come in. They know to hide instinctually. That's how they come up between the parge coat and in the corners and places. That's how they know. But up here, carpenter ants use these as like little branches to come up here and start looking around for stuff to eat. They do. Moving on along. On the front porch, I'm not seeing what I saw on the back porch. On the back porch, I saw drill holes. So we know that the patio area has been treated for subterranean termites, and we don't know, because some products, by the way, a partial treatment is good for the whole house. Termidor is one brand that does that, but I don't know what brand that they use. But the product hasn't been placed over here. They probably had a problem on the patio. That would be the kitchen area. Probably had a problem there. All these bushes touching the house shouldn't have bushes touching the house. Alright. Then in here, some of our parch coat is actually broken off. We got some rotten wood right there. You think termites like to eat that stuff? I do. See that parch coat right there? That's broken off. You're not supposed to have more than 1/3 of your brick. Okay? At that point, it's helping support the brick. Not supposed to have more than 1/3 of your brick overhanging the foundation perimeter. Moving on along, we've got over here, we've got counter flashing. That's the stuff that's on top of the apron flashing. That's the stuff that's underneath. And our counter flashing is peeled up right there. Do you think wind-driven rain can blow in there? I do. That's what I think. This goes for both sides of this guy right here. But anytime this comes down here, as the water's running down this, do you think it's going to run down your wall? I do. You should have kick-out flashing right there. I get it. It's ugly. I get it. I know. It's ugly. But you should. Now, this is kind of interesting. Bear with me. Moving on along. That's vertical casement board. And right below it, I don't know, it's kind of in the shade, kind of hiding, but you can actually see the top plates from the building framing sticking out through the brick. That should be, yeah, that's exposed wood. That's the end cuts. Those are the top plates. That should be sealed. The top plates are too long. The brickies just went around it like they knew what they were talking about. Nobody talked to the builder and said, hey, we got a problem. So they did. That's what they did. They did that all right. That hole in your wall should be sealed. We got some more exposed butt ends, you know. Got a little bit of soffit damage starting to occur over here. Again, I'm very suspect of the ventilation of the attic. And look at this wall. Alright? We're in North Texas. We're on expansive clay soil. We expect this to move. If you look out at the street, you see those control joints in the street? Because they expect it to move. They don't want the street all cracking up and stuff. The movement's supposed to, you know, if you're lucky, and luck has a lot to do with it, but if you're lucky, then your movement will happen at the control joints, and this doesn't have any control joints. So if this house moves, it's going to make its own control joints. It sure is. Now this is beyond the scope of the inspection. Alright, this is your yard, this is your sidewalk, this is the park, this is the trip hazard. If you have people come in to visit you and they're parking here, coming in and out of the car after a couple cocktails maybe, or maybe it's Granny again. You know, somebody could trip. It could be a homeowners associate, a homeowners insurance issue right there. Could be. I don't inspect that. It's too far away from the house. But I did. So we got this wall. It's going to move someday. It's going to crack. I'm surprised I don't find any cracks now. That's a good thing that it's not cracking. Don't get me wrong about that. That's a good thing that it's not cracking. But we don't have any control joints. And that's not a deficiency. I'll just call it to your attention. This is the fireplace. No doubt. This is okay for it to come back. Exhaust can pipe. You think water can get back in there? Get in your house, get in your fireplace, get in those places? I did. That should have been sealed. That should have been sealed. Okay. Got any other things? I do. One other thing. Just bear with me. I didn't know I was going to go off there on a tangent. But we're going to go out here just a little bit. This is one of the first things that I saw when I was coming up to the house. You get a little farther out. Just bear with me. So far, I haven't done a roof video yet. Right there is a missing shingle. Can you see it?